created Species Nutrition with one mission in mind: to provide bodybuilders and serious athletes with no-nonsense supplements that work. I put my name and reputation on every bottle of Species Nutrition products. If you want to be your absolute best, join the evolution. And we are back live here for another exciting episode of Heavy Muscle Radio. It is Arnold Classic 2024 week, and we have a great show. Not only am I joined by the technician Chris Aceto, we have King Kamali and Chris Cormier joining us as well to break down all the coming action this coming weekend. Chris Cormier, what country are you in now? Are you back in the United States?
I'm back in the United States. I'm actually at home right now. And it's about to start my tour.
I heard that you were trying to smuggle Rubio mascara in from Mexico. Is that true?
But if I bring it through Texas, it can get through there a lot easier.
That's what I said. You forget the customs. It's much easier that way. King Kamali, how you doing?
I'm good, but all good, brother.
I love
ready to rock and roll. Ready to rock. Of course, I'm representing tonight.
I know. I like it. Now, King Kamali is going to be holding down the live stream during the pre-judging at the Arnold on Friday night, and then also on Saturday night at the finals. So you'll be doing that live stream. So for people at home, you get to watch King Kamali give you his opinion as the guys come out live on stage. The live stream, I understand, is free at the Arnold this year, which is great. So everyone should be able to watch the show. No excuses. Chris Cormier will be out there. Are you working with Breon, right? Breon Ansley?
Yeah.
Okay. He's looking really good.
Yeah, he's a hard worker, man. I gotta give it to him. It's not easy what he does because he'll be in shape, but he'll still be, at least fighting with the last 5 pounds to get down to that number of 187.
What does he weigh in that picture, Chris?
He was around 94.
Wow, he looks good.
94. Yeah, he's in shape.
Yeah, you're going out tomorrow. Aceto's going out tomorrow. You guys are going to be out there for the whole week. Chris, you guys could have – two Chris's can have dinner together every night.
Yeah, of course. Chris is a foodie. Chris is a foodie, plus he picks up the tab, so I'm going out to eat with him every night.
You better call Ohio and tell them to get the lobsters ready because I know Chris likes lobsters.
When I go with Cormier, I know he's paying, so I get the most expensive thing on the menu, so I'm not eating.
Get the tomahawk steaks. Tomahawk steaks.
Kamali, I have a sticky note that I wrote for you. I don't know if you can read it.
I can't. What does it say?
Can you see that?
No, you got it says like a glare. Oh, there it is. Kill Kamali.
It says kill Kamali. Why are you mad at me, man? I love you.
I don't know. I just want to preempt you. Like Bush did a preemptive war on Iraq. So I think if you did anything wrong during the show.
I'm Iranian, not from Iraq, you crazy lunatic.
I know, but it was Bush did do a preemptive war on Iraq.
I guess what we want to know is have there been more death threats on you?
You know what? You know how the Iranian people are, man. They're fucking. Some of them they just don't want to, deal with reality. I never said anything about Hadi's physique. I just said I don't like him. That's it. But they think because I'm Iranian, I have to be 100%, loyal to someone who talks shit behind my back and makes fun of my posing routines. You dickhead idiot. I won every posing fucking award there is to win. Pick something else instead of posing.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. You were one of the best posers. Now, you called out Hadi on the last little iron debate we did. You basically said that, he was a phony and that he you didn't really like him and that he disrespected you. And I have to imagine the Hadi fans went crazy on you. No?
Yes and no, because I've blocked about 6,000 people. So half of his fucking fans are blocked. They can't get a hold of me. You know what I'm saying?
That's a lot of work.
And the funniest thing is, last night I was at a very upscale lounge, which I was with Jill, Chris. That's where me and Jill contacted you. And I was there hanging out, and I could see a bunch of them, you know, these Iranians over there giving me dirty looks. And I told my cousin, I said, let's see if they have the balls. You know, I've seen this 1,000 times on Get Big, all those years of they talking shit. And guess what happened? The dude walks over and goes, "Can I take a picture with you?" I'm like, "Yeah, man, come on, let's take a picture." There it is. There's the tough guys right there. No,
dirty look. Maybe they were admiring you or something.
Yeah, maybe they were, Chris. Maybe they're admiring me. No, but in all seriousness, though, man. Listen, we all know he's a Mr. Olympia, former Mr. Olympia. He's one of the best, if not the best, in the world. When he's in shape, he's very hard to beat. I will attest, and I will give him all of that. Yes, amazing bodybuilder, but we all saw, we're not blind. As Jon Stewart would say, we saw with our own eyes and we saw the whole thing. He pushed Crizzo. He walks off stage and takes his medal off when everybody is screaming at him to get back on stage. He's got problems. He's got this ego. He's got this narcissism in him. But we shall see. You know, we shall see what happens in what, 5 days?
Yeah, it's not easy to take that second place. I got to give it to him. It's not that easy, but you know,
Chris, you got a lot of second places in your trophy.
22 of them.
That hurts. That hurts. You trade them all in for one first place, I bet too, right?
Oh man, sucks.
One Arnold Classic, one Olympia. You would take.
You know, when I took sixth, I think it was like my last Arnold. It was hard to hold it together. It was you know, I just saw like little signals from the judges that was not going to be going in my favor, and that was the only thing that saved me. I probably would act a damn fool up there. Damn fool.
Yeah, it's I have to imagine when you're at the top of your game, especially, you know, being Mr. Olympia, and then to lose, it's got to, you know, when you think you shouldn't lose, you know, and there were guys that have lost that knew kind of they were off a little, like Jay that one year, and it hurts, I think, when Ronnie knew he was a little off too, but it still doesn't take the sting away. You have to suck it up and be a good loser. You can't be a sore loser because they remember that. You know?
Cormier never did that. It's not in his personality. Everyone who knows Chris loves Chris, and there's a reason why everybody loves him is because he would never do that. If it was Vegas odds, I would put my fucking life on it that Chris is not going to walk off stage if he gets a bad placing. That's not how he is.
When I hit that curtain, I'm fucking balling like a little kid. I'm balled up in a little ball, dying, crying. Dead, man.
Let me ask you a question. Did you cry when Lee Priest beat you? I think that's what he's insinuating.
No, I was just pissed. I didn't cry. I was pissed. And by the time I went out to the crowd, it was like, you know, 25 Australians waiting for me out there. I was so pissed. I took everybody to dinner and I paid for the whole damn dinner.
You were right, Chris. That's what he does.
all of my money I made from from selling pictures, I took everybody to dinner. Whoever.
Oh, really?
Wow. Yeah, I took everybody to dinner that night. Paid for
That's why everybody loves you.
I was pissed. Yeah.
You know, Chris always forgets about what the bad stuff once the party starts. So that's one good thing, you know. he blocks it out when the party starts. So.
I've never seen. You know, it's funny you should bring up that. I've never seen any
didn't
pros.
take him out. How come you didn't take Lee Priest out? Jeez.
I didn't want to talk to Lee at that time.
I've never seen any pros cry backstage except for one, and that was Dexter at the Toronto show when Orville beat him. He was upset.
That was the only time. I don't remember that one.
Yeah, he was backstage in tears. He was like, I just don't understand what the fuck they want from me. I don't get it. That was the only time I ever saw anyone, especially Dexter, that emotional.
Really?
Early 2000s?
Yeah, the Toronto when Orville beat him.
Yeah, that had to be early 2000s, right?
Yeah, early 2000s.
Yeah. Man, Orville was really good. What a shame what happened.
That was his best. I remember that show. Actually, he was phenomenal at that show.
Orville was a freak. I don't know if anyone remembers what happened. You know, he had torn his tricep.
I was there.
What?
I was there when it happened.
Oh, really?
Milos' gym, I think.
He was doing a photo shoot with Dennis.
Dennis.
And I was next.
Chris Lund
it was him and Dennis were doing a shoot with Lund, and I was on the treadmill, and I was next. So all I did, I couldn't see. There was a piece of equipment in front of me, a big lat pull down or something. And all I heard was, to this day, I still get goosebumps. I heard a snap and a yell and a boom. And then everything stopped in the gym, and a woman started screaming at the end, and Dennis just started to back. He put his hands up and started taking steps backwards, and he was in shock, and I couldn't see what was going on. I stepped off the treadmill and ran over there, and I saw Orville's elbow was over here.
Was Chris Lund shooting him at the time?
Yes.
Chris was making him do stupid weights?
And he was freaking out. I mean, Lund was freaking. He was pale, fucking. He was turning every color in the rainbow, walking back and forth, and with his fucking British accent, screaming, "What the fuck?" And then that's when everything just like, okay, everyone needs. A
lot of guys got hurt with Chris Lund photo shoots because he would make you do those crazy heavy weights, if you remember.
Yeah, the worst was, what was his name? Fuchs.
Yeah, Fuchs.
Tore both quads.
The worst.
That was Orville.
Fuchs was the worst.
Yeah.
Those knees open wide, 2 zippers going down the knees. I could a lot of years too, a lot of years, a lot of pain. And I think he got it fixed though, just a couple of years ago, to where it's not so much. He's not in so much pain. But I'd seen him down in Palm Springs, and I was there, and he was just now getting to where he wasn't in that much pain.
Yeah. It was very dangerous doing photo shoots with Chris Lund because he wanted to make it look authentic, and you're not really supposed to be lifting crazy heavy weights right after you do a show because you're dehydrated and the muscles are all depleted, so you got to be very careful when you do that. I remember he wanted me to do the 200-pound dumbbell presses after the 96 Nationals the day after, and I said I don't do them normally. I said I don't lift that heavy. I could do. I'm a good bencher, but I mean barbell, but I don't do dumbbells that heavy. He's like, well, Jay Cutler did them. Just hold them up there. I said, I'm not holding them. I can't. I knew what my limitations were at that point, and so I refused. And I rode the dumbbell. But you know what? Sometimes you have to don't try to please everyone. That's I guess my a bit of advice. You know what your limitations are. Don't go beyond them because sometimes it could result in tragic results. So I
remember Kovacs. I remember they wanted me to spot Kovacs with 2 200-pound dumbbells for, I think he was doing a military with it, and I refused.
Really?
I'm not even. Hell no.
You'll tear your bicep lifting those up to his shoulders there. Yeah, exactly.
I was like, if you can't lift it, don't lift it. But I'm not.
Right. But all right, let's talk Arnold Classic. We have a showdown, obviously. Hadi Choopan, Sampson Dowda. What's the scoop you're getting from Milos? Milos was supposed to come on, but he said he's too tired. He's in Pittsburgh right now with Sampson, and so he's going to bed early, which I don't believe. I guarantee he's up watching the show right now. What did you hear from him, King?
Text him and see if he's awake.
Yeah, I just texted him, and I said, look, because he's not going to send me any pictures and stuff. Milos is weird about that shit.
Yeah.
So I said, just very friendly. I said, how's everything going? Are you okay? How's Sampson doing? And he responded by saying, and still. And I said, okay. And I'm like, and how's he? I said, is he better? What's good? He goes, the best he's ever been, better than he was at the Olympia with an improved back. Those are exact words to me.
Yeah, I tried to get something out of him. He said, no, I was sworn to secrecy. Whatever they said up at the Manions. And he was happy to be there. I guess that was his first time there in Pittsburgh. I didn't know that. I think he was probably suspended every time he probably would have got a chance to go.
Oh, yeah. Sampson has a lot of trouble making flights. You know that, right? Remember? He went to Japan and they turned him around. He went someplace else. He couldn't get there. He was trying to compete during the whole COVID era, and he had terrible, terrible luck with flights. So,
well, I think Sampson's going to continue to improve. I don't think that's far-fetched to realize at this point.
Chris, we said on Iron Debate, King Kamali and I were talking that with Milos actually, that Sampson is still growing into his physique. Do you believe that he's still making improvements?
Yeah.
Yes, I just want it to be. I want it to be a slower process because I just don't want him to lose the stomach area, and I don't like seeing bodybuilders up there with their stomach past their chest when they're supposed to be in shape. I just don't like that look, and I feel like if he could just, I just think it. I don't know. Even from the Olympia, if he was way harder than he was, and the waist was just shrink wrapped around the skin around those muscles, that probably would have gave him the victory right there. He probably would have won it.
Yeah, I agree. Aceto?
Yeah, I agree with Cormier. He could have technically won the Olympia if he was, shrink wrapped. And I think his, he's improved. It looks like he's bigger, and that's his calling card right now. And he needs to be bigger, actually, to be able to, dominate. But at the same time, he needs to come in sharper than he was at the Olympia. If he can do that, if he can come in a little bit bigger than the Olympia and a little bit sharper, or even a lot more sharp, potentially, he could win the show. Not fairly easily. He's just, he's dangerous because he's got so many attributes right now. He's a tall guy with a lot of fullness. And it's been quite a while since we've had a tall guy with a lot of fullness. We have, Sean Roden is Mr. Olympia.
Right.
Phil Heath. Phil's a shorter guy with a lot of fullness. We haven't had like a tall guy. Of course, Hadi's not tall. And it counts when you don't look thin in a pose down. If you're only up against one guy, against Hadi, and you're much taller and you're super round, and if you're tight enough, it could be, a quick win, technically on paper at least.
That shot right there is one of Hadi's killer shots. But as we see, Sampson can do the same thing.
Yeah. All right, so make a case, Cormier, for why Hadi wins the show.
Definitely it's got to be a lot harder. That was always his thing. It wasn't like he had the most pleasing physique, and wasn't like he was shaped like a Greek god. It was more like just that blistering hardness that he had when he first came to Olympia and took that third, and could have arguably been like the winner at that time. But they had Rami, and they had everyone else that's been in the Olympia. But every Olympia he's done, he probably could have arguments to where he could have placed higher or won the thing.
Yeah.
So
do you think his height works against him? Is that I think that's the only thing.
It could going against Sampson. It really could, because he can make him look more like a squatty looking physique. It's not like the most. He don't have the smallest waist out of for that height, and just getting bigger and bigger, that's gonna not do his body justice if he wants to continue to compete. It's gonna come a fine point where weight is not going to be something that's gonna help him get better and better. It's gonna be chiseling down, keeping that shape going, and understanding what muscle groups you need to try to improve, and the other ones you need to try to harness and keep that, where it's at.
King, when you knowing Hadi's camp and what they're looking for, do you think Hadi's going to try to duplicate what he did at the Olympia, be tighter and smaller, or be bigger and slightly, fuller?
They're throwing everything but the end of the kitchen sink. They're going to throw everything in there.
Well, you got to pick one strategy. You can't get.
They're going to come in. They're going to come in with. They're going to try to repeat the best condition he's ever had, which was probably, 3 years ago. They're going to try to come bringing in that. Like I said last time, I think that if they try to pull too much, but listen, Hadi knows Hadi's body, and they know what they're doing. But I was shocked at Hadi's color was off. Hadi's back was a little bit soft. Hadi wasn't Hadi at the Olympia, and I'm almost 100% sure they did everything they could at that show. That's what I'm talking about. And what we're seeing is, I agree with Aceto, man. if Sampson was shrink wrapped, and I think Chris just said the same thing, if he was shrink wrapped, he would have walked away with that. I mean, we've had this discussion before, man. Sampson looks like Mr. Olympia. Hadi is great, but Sampson looks like he deserves the title. He looks like a Mr. Olympia. And I told you last time, Milos told me, and I'm sure Chris Cormier knows the same thing. Milos said they didn't push it for the Olympia because it was a decision made by Sampson. He did not want to push the pulling. This time they're pushing it. So
you're talking about drying out.
Exactly. And this time around, as a fan, I'm really, really excited to see what it is. What's it going to look like 2 to 3% sharper?
Chris Aceto, you think that's a good strategy with Sampson to try to dry him out more? Or will that make it look worse?
Yeah, because if here's the rub. If he came in bigger and in the same condition as the Olympia, everyone would say, why didn't you just come in shrink wrapped? Right? So if he comes in shrink wrapped and he's a little smaller, everyone's going to applaud and say, like, that was the way to go. You made the best decision, whether he wins or doesn't win. I think people want to see that physique shrink wrapped. And if he can do that, then I think, like, if, as somebody who's judging the show, sitting in the second row, me, it'd be hard for me to justify him not winning if he's got that, roundness that we keep seeing in pictures, which is more than he had at the Olympia, and he is truly shrink wrapped. Then, as King says, he's got, and Chris says, we're all saying it, he has a Mr. Olympia body. Mr. Olympia body is not someone who's, for some reason, right, who's shorter. We always think of Mr. Olympia as like big, tall, and wide. No matter if you have the perfect physique and you're smaller, we just think like big, tall, and wide. Like a ramming, wide. He's tall enough,
Is Sampson wide?
He could be wider, but he's got he's illusionary wide on stage because he's tall and he's broad enough,
Right.
He's not.
Yeah. Especially in the front relaxed. When he does a front relaxed, he looks wide as fuck. He looks wide.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's one of his best shots is the front relax.
Yeah,
but
agreed.
If you start getting into the the lat spreads and the front and back, it still makes you want to have a little bit more for the eye, the eye test. But
Dave, I think part of the part is going to be it's human nature is who's made changes to the physique since the Olympia, and the irony is King says, Hadi's going to throw the kitchen sink at the prep. If he comes in, peeled, and I agree, like his color was off at the Olympia, his back was not that hard. But if he comes in peeled, we might say like, well, so what? We've seen him peeled.
Right.
But now, so is Sampson. So it doesn't, if you're a judge, you're looking at like, oh yeah, yes, how's Hadi look? Phenomenal. How's Sampson look? Peel. You know what I mean? It has a different impact on you as a judge because you are judging what's in front of you, but to some degree, in the back of your mind, you're also what's weighing in somewhat is what you looked like at your last show.
Yeah.
And Dave, you brought up a good point about the height too. And let's just say for the sake of argument that the first call out is Sampson, Hadi, Raphael, and James. It's going to make Hadi look like a little guy, and it's all, how bodybuilding is who you're standing next to. Everybody, I'm 9-time Mr. Olympia in my kitchen. Okay. We all know that, but it's all who you're standing next to. So that's another thing that's going to be a big factor too, unless they throw De La Rosa in there, which is going to be more like Hadi's height, and that could even things out.
Yeah. Chris Cormier, I have a question for you because you're the master poser, and Sampson does suffer from a little, narrowness considering how tall he is. He has a teeny tiny waist, which gives him the good V taper. However, if you're instructing him in terms of posing and presentation, what does he have to do to give the illusion that he has that width that he needs to capture that first place?
You have to be careful for your hand placement when you hit those front lat spreads and the rear lat spreads. Sometimes people get lazy with the hands, and they just don't do your body justice when you're trying to display like an illusion of a wide waist. You know, there's a space between your hips and your lat insertion that you can actually press your thumbs in there nice and deep, keep your hands sideways and not like a lazy, just putting a wrist on it and, you know, start to do a lat spread. And you can actually push that waist in another, you know, inch on either side. And that's going to give you what, two inches off your waist, just doing that.
Right. Yeah. I think that he probably could, you know, position his body in a better way. Cause I don't know if I like, I don't like all his poses he hits. I like some of them, like some of his twisting shots are really good, but I think that he's not necessarily displaying his body the best that he could. I mean, what do you think about that? Is that a valid statement?
I think that's true.
Okay.
Aceto.
Yes.
Sampson's side chest. Do you like him standing straight, or do you think his back shoulder come forward to make him look wider? That's what I see.
Standing straight up, or what else? What else?
Okay, see this. There's two poses. I've been texting Milos this and harassing him for the past 2 months about this. I'm like, listen, I'm a fan. I want, you know, him to look his absolute best. On his side chest, Sampson does an Arnold side chest, very classic, standing straight up. Okay, I'm saying his back shoulder. It's a little cheating thing that we can do. Lavroni was a fucking master at it. You roll that back shoulder forward about 2 more inches, it makes you look a lot wider.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean.
That's number one. Yeah. And on the back lat spread, lean back. Chris is right. Stick your fucking thumbs in there and lean the fuck back. The judges are looking up.
Yeah. I think he needs to work on placement of his body parts a little better. And I think that because it's all an illusion, and he's got the best illusionary, I don't know if that's the right word, illusionary physique. He could do wonders with it. Flex Wheeler used to really, really do a great job with hiding his weaknesses. And I think that Sampson is still, and it could just be that he's put on so much muscle, you know, in such a short period of time. Maybe he doesn't have the mind muscle control yet. But I think once he does, he can really, really display his physique even better than he is now. Chris, you should do a little session with him.
I did one. We did one like a couple years ago. And yeah, I don't think he was ready for it at that time.
You'll be there on Monday. You should work with him all week. If what's his name's open to it, Milos.
Yeah, I don't mind. I'm sure you would. I don't mind. I'll let him know that I'm available.
Who do you guys? I'll go around the horn. Who's going to be? I mean, we pretty much know who the top 2 is probably going to be, and obviously, if one of these guys something happens to them, something can always go wrong. But assuming they're the top 2, who do we see in the next 2 positions in this lineup? Realistically. You want to go first, King?
Horse and Raphael.
Okay. And why do you say that?
I've seen the updated pictures. Even though I said last time, I think Raphael, if he comes in again and everybody's saying, well, if he was a little bit bigger, I made a suggestion to go to another division. But from the pictures that I saw, and then from what I hear, he's 15 pounds bigger, and he looks like he's nice and grainy. And I think if he's 5'11", too, I believe. I think Raphael and then Horse. I'm seeing all these. You know I like Horse.
Yeah.
I like the guy. So and I've seen the pictures. So yeah, those are my next 2. Horse and.
Will Horse's back be good enough though to stand in this lineup?
His back double bicep probably not.
They say not.
Yeah, probably not. But I think his lat spread from the back. I've seen it. It looks decent.
Yeah.
And depending on what kind of conditioning that he's in, and he looks like he's in great conditioning.
Cormier, what do you think? Next. Second, third, and fourth.
I think his name is Raphael. It's not
Raphael. That's right.
Excuse me. Chris is the international man now. I gotta take his word for it.
Raphael. And then I would go with James.
Really? Now, why do you say James Hollingshead?
I just think he looks so much better than he ever looked. I think it's going to help him out a lot when he goes to get into his poses and he's been looking to me more aesthetic than I ever seen him before, and I'm gonna go with that. I think Horse is gonna maybe try to be too big because that's not his strength, his size, and I think that might, I don't know. I just got a funny feeling.
Interesting. Chris Aceto.
I think Raphael and right after that, Horse or James. Their contract.
What about Antoine Vaillant? He's looking pretty good.
It's kind of a dark horse. It's just hard to say, because people look, and this is not a dig against Antoine, who's at different times in his career has looked phenomenal in shows in terms of conditioning, because he has the ability when he hits it to really, knock it out of the park. But just remove him for a second. It's just, it's hard to know what people truly look like on stage, because I don't think Sampson's going to show up looking like these videos, frankly, that we see online, because he looks like Coleman 4.0. There's just different people are not going to post pictures of themselves that are not overly complimentary, right?
Yeah.
So having said that, I don't know what people truly look like, but I have seen a couple pictures of James, and he looks to be at his all-time best. And Horse has got, he's got quads, he's got arms, he's got, legs from the side that really hang. He's got a lot of width on the body. He's got a super tapered front double bicep. So, in terms of him versus James, I think James probably has more maturity and density and like true hardness, but you don't have to have super true hardness when you got giant sweep to your quads. And it helps, of course, but if you have giant sweep to your quads, great width, a couple knockout shots. I think his most muscle is phenomenal. I think his side chest is phenomenal. I think his front double bicep is extremely good. When you're going into a show like this, and you're pretty tall too. He's not short, and you have 3 shots that you can handle a lot of people in. I think that puts you automatically close to that, top 3. So I would say Raphael, Horse battling with James, and then who knows after that.
It's interesting, and I want to just throw this out there because, I think that when we look at these guys individually, and you look at, especially like James Hollingshead, I love his physique because I'm a big hardcore guy. He lifts heavy. He's got that rugged look, that Dorian graininess and stuff like that. But in my experience going to these shows, especially the ones I'm there in the front row, for some reason, the guys that have the beautiful shape, the small waist, the beautiful, peak biceps and those piston shots, I'm thinking Horse MD, I'm thinking Antoine Vaillant. For some reason, even though they're not bigger necessarily, maybe not harder than a guy like James, they just stick out on stage more. Does that make sense? And I feel like they wind up surpassing guys like him on stage. When if you look at each individual person on paper separately and you compare them, you say, well, James is better than him, he's better than him, he's better than him. But then on stage, like something happens, the illusion happens. Does that make sense?
Yeah, because that's the one thing. I was a better bodybuilder on stage than I was in the gym. I always thought,
the illusion only happens when you have good lines. Otherwise, it doesn't happen ever, no matter how hard you get.
It goes the opposite direction. It gets worse, Chris. I think,
yes. Plus, but Dave, you're making a good point because your eyes go to beautiful bodies.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's like putting a comparison of Chris Cormier and Marcus Rule. If Chris was at his best and Marcus was at his best and they did a front double bicep, you'll see Marcus, you're like, okay, wow. But then you look at Chris and you're like, that's fucking incredible.
Right.
Your eyes go to Cormier.
I did the Junior USA, and Chris knows what I'm going to say, in 1994. And I was backstage, and Derek Whitsett was in the show. And I'm like, I got this guy. He's not even hard. He doesn't even look that good. And then I saw the pictures after. I was like, I I was way out of my league with this guy. It was like a different person on stage under the lights than what I saw backstage. It was unbelievable. And that illusion is something that you just can't quantify until you see it on stage. And, that's why guys like Antoine Vaillant and Horse MD and even Rafa, their bodies become special on stage, more special than when they look backstage and what they look like in the gym and what they look like on Instagram, if that makes sense.
It makes total sense. And
Yeah.
Cormier was never a luggage carrier anyway.
No.
Even in the gym, he didn't walk around like this.
No.
He walked around with a swag with his Louis Vuitton gym bag. That was Cormier, So your eyes go to the beautiful.
If you saw
physique.
Chris Cormier the day 2 days before the show, you'd be like, this guy's not going to even make the top 5. And then Chris would do his magic, and he was the best guy on stage. It was unbelievable, how your body changed. But it's an illusion. The sport is a big illusion, and that's why it's so hard to handicap these shows. We know Hadi and Sampson because we saw them at the Olympia. I mean, that's a given. But to try to fit these other guys into the equation, it's very difficult till we see them on stage next to each other. Let's talk about the classic physique division. We showed Breon Ansley before. Obviously, we have Urs Kalsinski in this lineup. We have Ramon Dino, who, Chris, you're helping. Why don't we start with you, since you have a good insight into Ramon Dino? How's he looking?
He looks great. Stand and relax is, picture perfect.
Chris sent me some pictures, some video of him, and he's pretty freaky looking, I got to tell you. That was what, last week you sent me that?
It was 2 weeks ago. He's he's lighter now, and his waist he looks just really good, deep
What
legs.
does he have to weigh on stage, Chris?
What's that?
What does he have to weigh in at?
103. 103.
What is he weighing now?
106, which is
Kilograms. You're talking about kilograms, yeah.
Yeah, which is really good for him because, we've been at way over, 5 days out before, 108 and a half, 109, trying to make, 12 pounds.
Wow. Yeah, that's
Shit.
a lot of weight.
That's scary. What has he improved?
I think shoulder width is a little bit better. So, because I wouldn't say his waist is smaller, but it looks smaller because it definitely looks small in the stance. So I'm assuming, delts, maybe upper pecs a little bit, and he's got a nasty Christmas tree.
When I spoke to him back when we did that Olympia battle, I was trying to get him to understand, utilizing the serratus and obliques more. And you see right here in some of these shots, he tend to focus on that front.
Straight on, yeah.
Yeah, those abs, just from the front, and not really engaging the serratus and the obliques. And
well, after you go visit Sampson, you can
come by the room. Yeah, Cormier's going to be in everyone's room this week.
Hey man, I've been trying to help the next generation, man. I know it's a whole nother generation from where I come from, but that's why I've been sticking around. The sport.
Chris, do you think, we talked about this last week, do you think that Ramon is a little fidgety on stage?
Yeah, I think he's fidgety on stage.
Yeah,
I wanted Cormier to give his opinion on. I know
he's get a better understanding about what he needs to do and the best way to display his physique. For sure.
How do you slow someone's mind down like that so that they're not going to be all over the place?
Repetitions.
Is there anything that you mentally can think in your brain like this? Like I used to think, move in slow motion, because it does everything sped up on stage like tenfold.
Yes, that's actually the actual mind muscle connection is the ability to do all these things. A lot of people say that word a lot, but you can actually apply it to your posing, and then you start to master it.
Well, what do you when you were on stage, what would you think to keep yourself calm and not fidgety and not going too fast?
But Dave, I come from getting drilled into the damn ground by Robbie Robinson as a teenager. Right. So it was different for me. I didn't, it was always, Dave, I was posing, flexing my hamstrings when I was 9 years old. No one told me. I'm at the boys club showing the kids my hamstring and shit at 9 years old. And then at 12, I'm hitting lat spreads before I ever had a clear understanding. I just always had that I always had a connection.
Right.
So I'm a little different from a lot of people.
So how do you tell other people then? What's your opposing instructor? What do you tell people to think in their brain to be able to slow them down a little bit?
Yeah, it goes from person to person. Depends on the physique and what the goal is, But I think just going over things over and over again with people, I think that's where I mainly get across to them. And when they can't, if I'm actually there, I still coach through it when I'm on the stage,
Right. Do you have like code words that you yell out so that they'll slow down? Gotcha.
Exactly. Yeah.
You're right. Because Breon's really good on stage, So you got him brainwashed in the right direction for sure.
No, Dave, if you watch Cormier, from the audience, Breon is up there. I swear, right, Chris? If Chris has left pec, immediately the left pec is flexed. If he says like right quad, the right quad goes, right, Chris? He's honed in to Chris's voice in the audience.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Well, Aceto, you definitely don't need to tell Ramon to take it easy with the fidgeting. Because that was the first thing I said. Remember after the Olympia,
you said it first.
I said he needs to stop doing all that stuff and just slow it down a little bit. It makes a difference.
Yeah, no, I'm not worried. It's every show we do. You get a better connection with who you're working with, and because King, it's been. It is. He is fidgety, but just keep in mind, it's been a pretty rapid ascent up. Believe me, his first Olympia and his first pro show, he didn't even know how to stand properly. I'm serious, you know what I mean? And working on the side chest this way, that way, and when it looks good from 9 angles, but of course you, Chris, and Dave can see that the side chest can look better from, there's one better than another. It just, it's not like Cormier, who's done 1 million shows, or you, King, who've done 1 million shows, where, if you were competing tomorrow, King, I could say, King, can you just put your chest up on the front last spread more and you put it right up, right? Or I'd say, bend your knees a little bit more, while on your front double front lat spread, instantaneously, as I say, a little bit more, you bend up a little bit more. Okay, no, up a little bit more. You're more connected with your body because you have more experience.
The repetition, but Cormier is correct. It's the repetition. He had Robbie, I had Fairfax Hackley, and Hack was a mean motherfucker. You could not, no one could please the fucking guy, and he would fucking rag on you and put you down and make you hold poses for 60 seconds and all that. Right. It just got to a point where I was like, oh, this shit is easy. I didn't even have to second think it anymore because I already had Hack destroying me every fucking Saturday.
Right. I think Chris needs to learn Portuguese. That might help him out a little bit. You got to learn the Portuguese words for what you need to tell him up on stage. Because I'll tell you something. Chris is louder. Aceto's louder than anyone. When I sit next to him, you scream so loud, Chris, when your guys are on stage. And you're so quiet every other time that it's shocking.
I save it for,
You do.
I save it for the guys I help on stage and my kids when they disobey me.
Except your kids don't listen to you. The guys on stage do, though. That's the difference.
Cormier, where do you have Breon?
What do you mean, where do I have him?
Where are you placing him at the show? What you got him?
He's got him first. He's his coach. What are you
doing? I got to put him on the spot. I want to put Chris on the spot, man.
Why do you want to put me on the spot?
Because I want to hear from you.
Man, I feel different about stuff. You don't really want to know everything I'm feeling.
We want to know.
I want to know. I want to know what you think because from the pictures, he looks like he's the best he's ever been.
The guy works really hard, man. I know I put him through a lot through the training, through the posing, and then I know for a fact he's one of the hardest working guys in the sport. And I could say, he's beating everyone there. I know Dino, he took second last year, but I think LeBron. I was gonna say LeBron. I think Breon and Dino looked the best in the Olympia last year. So
Yeah.
you're gonna ask me, I'm gonna be like, okay, that's what I saw. Where they're gonna place is totally different from what I would think or see sometimes.
Well, why do you think they put Urs ahead of Breon at the
I
Olympia?
have no idea, brother. I have no idea. I
Is
thought
it
he
a
was
height
holding
thing?
water. I thought he was holding water. I thought he was holding water for his physique, and I said, you know, before on some podcasts, I said, okay, he took third, holding water. Back double's not there yet. Don't have great arms. I just think Breon got the best classic biceps in the class, and I would take his back against anybody in the class also.
Yeah.
And I just don't, you know, that's two poses right there that, you know, is very competitive. He can lose some in the side chest and an ab shot sometimes, but he has a great classic shot. That crucifixion shot is his main shot that he likes to, his signature shot, I would say.
These three guys, tall. That's what I think is the problem. They match up very well against each other.
Bro, how is it tall for classic? How's it not
They're
tall?
all 6 foot. They're all 6 feet.
Wait. How's it not tall for figure? How's it not tall for open? How's it not tall for all these
what
different?
I'm saying is that Breon doesn't fit into the. He's like the odd man out here.
How do we get two 12 guys go 1 and 2 in Olympia?
I'm just saying.
How do we start off with the classic division with what's his
Because
name?
when Classic first started, they didn't know where it was going.
Because it was the best physique up there. It wasn't the height.
Right. I know
Really?
but it seemed like it has become a height thing now.
And then, you know, that's why I was like, you know, pretty upset when he didn't get that third Olympia, because I'm like, you're messing with somebody's legacy. It's not about okay, what how many fans the person has or whatever the reason was. But it's a legacy that you're leaving behind. Won the Arnold Classic. You won so many classic shot competitions. He beat people up and down the street. He went to New York, won. He went to Florida, won. He went all over the place and won. And it's like, you can't say all of a sudden, oh, it's a tall man's class.
Well, I think do you think they changed the criteria a little bit of what they were looking for?
Well,
they upped the weights too.
Breon should be tired in because you're never going to win another show.
Well, you know what happened? They raised the weights that these guys can weigh, and then now these tall, thin guys.
That has nothing to do with the height, though.
What?
But you said the height. The height is
no. Before, when the original weight classes were instituted, okay,
they were still going, but they were still hearing chirps of, oh, they're gonna want a taller person in this class. I mean, look at the girl who wants figure. She's a little tiny petite little girl, and then there's big girls that come in. They're never gonna pick them over her.
No. Well, I think they're trying to downsize figure because figure got too big.
And then how tall is Derek? 5'6"? I never would have been like.
But do you think that Derek would have won had Hadi not been Mr. Olympia? You know, it might have been a different story. You know, I think they judged who's up there against each other.
But we did suffer.
Well, let me give you a scenario. What if there were two guys like Chris Bumstead and like Ramon who were the same height as Breon? Who would win? Breon, right?
I mean, yeah, you would think.
Yeah, because he's for his height. I mean, is there anyone better than him?
But I was gonna say, no, not for his height. But I was gonna say, also when Dexter was still beating people as he got older, that wasn't exactly the same Dexter I was going against.
No. But the competition wasn't as good when Dexter was killing those guys.
What I mean. We suffered through a time period where it was lackluster.
Right.
You know,
this is kind of like the heyday now of classic. You know, you got these tall guys that have filled out their physique because the weight required the height to weight changed, and they raised the weight limits quite a bit over the last couple of years. I mean,
and Breon has never really been off that I can remember
How many
Yeah.
pounds was Urs and Dino allowed to gain this past Olympia, Chris? What was it, like 11 pounds?
It was 2 kilograms for or maybe 2.5 for Ramon. So 2, but
So
2 might
like-
as well be.
That's 5 pounds, almost 5.5 pounds.
Yeah,
Listen, 2 might
That's a
as
lot.
well be 20. Because,
that's a lot.
you know, people say, oh my God, Ramon's so much better this year at Olympia than last year's Olympia. No, he just didn't diet down past the point of no return where he had to make the weight. I mean, he did improve, of course, but,
Right.
you know, the fact of the matter is, if they called today and said, you know what, we're not going to, you know, we made a mistake. It's not 103 kilograms for you. It's 105. You'd see a more improved, you know, guy up there. So, you know, to your point, Dave, your point, Dave, when the weight continues to go up, there's certain physiques that will favor.
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
All long physiques, yeah.
Yeah, you know it's.
And they raised the weight limit like a year or two before that too. They raised it up another. A couple
I would
kilos.
rather see a stricter. I'm gonna say stricter judging, but okay, just let the guys come in
whatever weight, Chris. I've been saying,
and then just
over.
like, okay, if your stomach is bloated, you ain't gonna be the champ. If you don't have the lines that you should be having, you're not gonna be champ. Don't be. I would think that would be a better look.
I think what would happen is it would creep too close to bodybuilding. That's what would happen. They need to keep these weight limits.
Well, you gotta be.
What I'm saying,
bodybuilding, they'll let you have a bigger stomach than they will in classic.
no, I know, but what I'm saying is, it's going to get too. They're going to be almost like overlapping divisions at that point. But what I will say, the point I'm trying to make, Cormier, is that when Breon was winning the Olympia, the weight limit was way, way lower. So he actually had an advantage because these tall guys could not fill their frames out and still make weight.
Didn't, Dave. He didn't. You know why?
Why was he winning?
Because listen, he turned pro at a middleweight in the USA. That's 176.
That was his weight limit, right?
And he just made that. He just made. He was a light heavy. Went into LA and then went down to middleweights to get his pro card.
Right.
Then he only had 4 pounds all these years to play with.
Right, so but on a short guy,
never really bodybuilding though.
Right, but on a short guy, what I'm saying is that it's easier to fill out your frame at a lower weight. Whereas with a tall guy, you have to add a lot more muscle to fill out your frame, especially if you have long arms and long legs. I think once the weight limit was raised enough that these taller guys were able to fill out their frames, it allowed them to dominate guys like Breon. And that's the only reason why I think he started losing. But
they also started to define the division more. I think you have to put that into the perspective of what we're talking. I agree with Chris and I agree with you, Dave, but it's the definition of what they were looking for in the division. It fell into place. It's like Dana Lynn Bailey. Yeah. Okay, when she was winning everything, you put her in right now, she'd be dead last.
Yeah. Yeah.
They defined the division of what they were looking for.
Look at David Henry.
Yeah, David Henry, exactly. Me personally, I think Breon's conditioning is going to pull him through this time. I think it's going to pull him through.
But look at David Henry. He won the 202 Olympia, right? He was unbeatable. And they said, we're going to raise it. We're going to raise it up a little higher. Now, all of a sudden, David Henry, who can't really weigh, who never weighed 202, can't compete with guys that are like Flex Lewis, who are 212 on stage. Or Kevin
actually went into the open class at one time, didn't he, Dave?
Yeah, he won a couple of open shows. Yeah.
But how do you think Flex Lewis would fare as these other 212 champions went up into the open class?
It's a good question. I don't know if his upper body. We never really saw him fill out his upper body and go into the open class. So I don't think we ever had a really good good chance to see that because remember he got hurt and then he retired. So. I think he would have done well. I think he would have filled out his frame. I think he would have done very well. But what do you think, Aceto?
I think he'd be top, 4th to 7th.
Yes, I agree.
I don't think he's a Mr. Olympia. I don't think that the size and, I don't think the size is there.
He can't beat Hadi Choopan, you don't think?
Hadi retired him in Taiwan, wherever they were, Korea.
Well, he won that show.
He said he was tired. He kicked him in the head.
Well, I mean, he won the Olympia, went to Korea, and you know, people were like, "Who's this guy?" Right? And Hadi was just rock solid.
No one really knew him. Yeah, he came out of woodwork essentially.
I knew him.
So
you told us. Yeah, you told us about him.
Yeah, I know.
So King.
Yeah.
Should I call you King?
Shut up. Ask your question.
Hey, hey, I was gonna say. I mean, you've seen Hadi super hard. I mean, that's not the same Hadi you've been seeing the last couple of years, though, is it?
No, and this is something that I said last time, and I think Cutler at his last Cutler cast said the same thing. He's not improving. He's going the opposite direction.
King was he better when he won the first pro show, or was he better at this year's Olympia?
No, first pro show he was better. I mean, listen, he was right where he needed to be. Right? He was right where he needed to be. And he's just, you know, we all saw the suspect shoulders, and then his waist started to thicken up a little bit, you know, and then, you know, his conditioning started to pay price. It's called bodybuilding, man. We all go through this bullshit, and we all went through this bullshit. Now it's just gotten to the point where he has set the standard so high where it's like a Dexter. Dexter, if he came in a little bit off, Dexter, he was still harder than everybody else. So he's fighting against himself. He's got that Persian conditioning. I give him all the credit in the world. He comes in fucking super hard. Yes, he does. But Chris, this is, like I said, they're going to throw everything at the kitchen sink. They're going to do everything they can to bring him in ultra shredded.
He cannot lose this show. If he lose the Arnold, then that's going to be curtains for the rest of the day.
Chris, that's probably the comment of the whole show right there.
Yep.
Because if he loses the show, then you know what, he places less than second going into this year's Olympia, regardless of where he is.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, well, I think Sampson puts him in the rearview mirror if he loses here.
And I won't say it'll be every time. It's not like he won't or not be able to come back and beat these guys because they beat each other before. But it's not going to look good. It's going to be that much of a reason for you not to repeat as Olympia champion.
King, what's in that kitchen sink, by the way?
I guarantee you. I will guarantee you this. Okay, and this is just me from my own personal.
I gotta get the sticky notes out again.
This is all from a personal experience from just being Iranian myself. I guarantee you, Hadi's not doing everything that Hani's telling him to do. I guarantee you that.
He doesn't listen. You don't think?
No, it's not that he doesn't listen. He has his own philosophy of doing things. That's how most Iranians are. I know what I'm doing. You know, that should be you see how it's a species here? Iranians should say, I know what I'm doing.
Can you tell me why are you squatting, what was that, 6th or 7th place on the damn Smith rack this close to a competition?
I saw that myself, Chris, and I don't understand. I know Hani's philosophy is you train heavy all the way up to the show.
That's just not right, bro.
No, I agree with you 100%. Yeah, and like
look what happened to Nick Walker. You're risking injury, right? Is that what you're saying?
Exactly. And to
not only for the show, but it could be for good. You mess around with that type of weight.
Yeah.
He's going to pay the price. We all paid the price. I remember it was because of you, Chris, that you freaked me out when we did our Muscle Tech photo shoot. When we went up there to do those videos, remember those videos that we shot? And I remember you complaining about your elbow the whole time you were there. My elbow. And then you put that shit into my head. And then I was thinking to myself, oh my, then that was always my elbow, my knees, this and that. And I was like, what the fuck did Chris fucking, put this voodoo curse on me the whole time we were there, and then these types of things, I don't know, I'll give the benefit of the doubt. I just know because I've seen some of Hani's videos and stuff. He definitely believes in training heavy as shit all the way up to the show. That's his philosophy.
Which I think is good, except maybe not the last week or two, maybe, just to be a little safe.
Yeah, ask Nick Walker.
Your physique, that you don't have the protection,
Yeah.
In those joints and ligaments you're gonna take on a lot of that weight.
I mean, Nick Walker is a perfect example of that, of what could happen when you're doing, and he wasn't even lifting heavy and he still hurt himself. So, well, I'm looking forward to going to the Arnold this year. I haven't been there in a couple of years. I'll be there with Chris, and King will be on the RX Muscle live stream doing his analysis live as it happens. And then he'll be doing a post-game wrap-up show. And I want to also just send a big, I don't know, I guess remembrance of Boston Lloyd. I think today was the 2-year anniversary of his passing. And I want to send my condolences out and my love to his mother, Marie, who I talk to all the time, and all his fans out there who I know love him. Also a good Long Island bodybuilder that I knew from back in the day and who I still was talking to. Vinny Manzo died this past weekend. So all his family and friends out there, I want to send my condolences out to him as well. I know he'd been battling some kidney issues, but I don't know what the official cause of death was, but he was a good guy. He was on the New York bodybuilding scene for years and years and years since I first started. So very sad day, but I look forward to seeing you. Chris Aceto, you'll be there tomorrow with Chris Cormier. I'll be there on Thursday evening, and we'll be doing our predictions video out there on Thursday. And then, of course, Friday night is the prejudging. Saturday is the finals for the men's open. And you'll see King Kamali both of those days on RX Muscle. For now, as we say every week here at Heavy Muscle Radio, with Heavy Muscle Radio,
the truth hurts.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for joining. Chris Cormier,
thought King was going to say it, but I thought I'd get a death
threat. I'll see you.
No death threats, please. We'll see you next week, guys. We'll see you at the Arnold.
Peace.